Welcome! It's Friday. I'm Tom Carnell. This is Carnell Knowledge, and as usual, we're going to go through some movie, book, and music recommendations for your Friday. To recap, again, Tom Carnell. I was a buyer for Tower Records and a whole slew of record stores for about 20 years. I published and wrote most of Carpenocta magazine, which was a dark art publication in the 90s. And I wrote for Fangoria, Dread Central, and a bunch of journalistic things online and in print. And now I'm an author, and you can find all of my books on Amazon. Please remember to watch to the end of the video. It helps with the algorithm. And if you go down here in the description, you will find links to trailer films for the movies, Amazon links for the books, and entire YouTube playlists for every album. So don't just take my word for it. Hop over there, listen for yourself, and decide and buy. We are going to go through just the standard stuff this week, or today. It's Friday. And I hope you dig some of this. If you do, let me know. As always, like, comment, share. Let me know. If you don't want to talk about something publicly, just go ahead and email me at tomcarnell@gmail.com, and I'll get right back to you. We are going to begin in 2023. As I recall, most of these, if not all of these, are available on TUBI for free. So take advantage of that. TUBI is God. And yeah, here we go. 2023, the movie is called The VOURDALAK. Directed by Adrienne Beau. It stars Casey Motet Klein, Ariane Labed, and Gregor Collin. Synopsis is as follows. Lost in a hostile forest, the Marquis de Uf, a noble emissary of the King of France, finds a refuge in the home of a strange family. This is based on Tolstoy's The Family of the VOURDALAK, fleshed out from the above and originally presented I think the first time in the Boris Karloff, Mario Bava film Black Sabbath. This was great. It's a mood piece. It's a period piece. It's very creepy at times. It reminded me for some reason of Brotherhood of the Wolf, except with vampires instead of like werewolves, monsters, that kind of a thing. It's very cool. Very creepy, very eerie at times, a little something different. I think that so often we can get tied up in, the big tent poles in genre. And so something like The VOURDALAK is a great way to break out of that box. Speaking of breaking out of the box, this also available on TUBI, 1991. This is a film called 964. That's my dog coming in. 964 Pinocchio. It's directed by Shozen Fukui, who did the film Rubber Lover. If that gives you a hint of where we're going. Stars Haji Suzuki, On-chan, and Koji Otsubo. Synopsis. Pinocchio 964 is a lobotomized cyborg sex slave. Strap in for this. He is abandoned by his owners due to his inability to maintain an erection, while a corporate entity that plans to hunt him down and kill him. During the filming of this, the crew did not have any permits, so everything was shot kind of on the fly in guerrilla style, and it kind of shows. It was filmed and edited in 6 months. This is very weird. It's wonderful, but it's weird. It's deemed by some as fetish horror. It is uncomfortable. Some people will find it incoherent. And it's no wonder that the filmmaker went on to work with Shinji Tsukamoto in things like Tetsuo the Iron Man. There is not a lot of films out there like this one. It's very industrial feeling, like Tetsuo was. I enjoy this film. I think it's just weird enough that it keeps me engaged when a lot of things don't these days. It was great. Again, it's not going to be for everybody, but that's the beauty of genre, right? You can find things that you like, and the things that you like, someone else hates. One man's treasure is another man's trash, as they say. But again, available on Tubi. Very fun, very cool. Try to stick with it. I mean, if it starts to rattle your brain a little bit, of course, bail. But again, it's unlike many things that you'll find in this life. Let's see, moving on. Also available on Tubi. I really should get a sponsorship from Tubi. 1973. SHURAYUKI-HIME, aka Lady Snowblood. This was directed by Toshiya Fujita, stars the great Mieko Kaji, Toshio Kurosawa, and Masaki Daimon. This was the main inspiration for Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill. He has been very upfront about the fact that not only does he love this movie, but he loves the star Mieiji Kaji, who is a lot of her music has appeared in the Kill Bill films. It was based on a manga by Kazuo Koike, who did Lone Wolf and Cub. And the synopsis is as follows. A young woman is trained from birth to be a deadly instrument of revenge against the swindlers who destroyed her family. This is very much a female revenge flick. It's set in feudal times. The sword work is good, kinda, but it mostly gets by on chutzpah and its own energy. You're not going to see like mind-boggling sword fighting, but it's still pretty cool. But the cinematography by Masaki Tamori is excellent. It's crisp, it's clear, it's staged in a way that you can see everything that's going on. It's one of my little gripes with a lot of martial arts scenes and sword fighting scenes. Everyone gets too close. Tom's rule on that stuff: the further back the camera is, the more people know what they're doing. Look at, for example, and this is going to be a weird comparison, but look at the Charlie's Angels movies with Drew Barrymore and those types. Everything's shot really, really close because they don't know what they're doing, and they're doing quick cuts to make it look like they know what they're doing. And then look at the film Hero. Everything is way back. It's big tableau shots. You can see what everyone's doing. No one's cheating the camera. It's great stuff. So again, Lady Snowblood. There's like 2 or 3 of these things, and they're all great, and they're all highly recommended. Let's see. After that, also available on Tubi, 2016's SEOUL, aka Seoul Station. This is directed and written by Yeon Sang-ho. It stars and I apologize for the mispronunciations. It stars Ryu Seung-ryong, Shim Eum-kyung, and Lee Jun. This is a prequel to the goings-on in 2016's film Train to Busan. Several groups of people try to survive a zombie pandemic that unleashes itself in downtown Tokyo. The animation is frenetic, it's kinetic, and it's wonderful. It almost looks rotoscoped. If you don't know what rotoscoped is, we'll be talking a lot about rotoscope as these episodes goes on. Rotoscoping is when you film someone live action and then you go over and animate it so that it looks more real. A preeminent example, and a film I'm going to cover probably in the coming episodes, is Ralph Bakshi's Fire and Ice. It's not just someone running at you, there's drift, as with when someone runs. This technology would later be sort of cannibalized and employed with a lot of the digital capture stuff that they're doing now, with men in suits and dots on their face. Seoul Station is great. It's wonderful. It's at times it's scary, and the zombies look like they are indeed zombies. I do think Train to Busan is better than Seoul Station, and I think that the sequel to Train to Busan is worse than all of them. So do with that with what you will. And then finally, we're going to talk about another film. available on Tubi. 2014's The Deadlands, directed by Tao Frazier, stars James Rawlinson, Lawrence Makwar, and Tekohe Tahuka. This is it reminds me a lot of Apocalypto. It's done in the Maori language. It features a lot of Maori, and the synopsis says, after his tribe is slaughtered through an act of treachery, the teenage son of a slain Maori chieftain looks to avenge his father's murder and bring peace and honor to the souls of his loved ones. This is an underrated pseudo-zombie flick, but the action is awesome. It employs a lot of weaponry that you don't see a lot. They're traditional Maori weapons. It's completely fun and not something you're likely to have seen like it before. There's a part of me that wants to compare it to things like Quest for Fire, only in that it doesn't cheat or handhold the audience like, hey, this is in another language, maybe we're going to subtitle it, maybe we're not, and you're just going to have to keep up. And I like that. I don't like too much pandering to the audience. Like, do your homework, pay attention, and it'll pay off. Moving on to books. I had mentioned in a previous episode the book, The Travels of Ibn Fadland. I had also mentioned its correlation to things like Beowulf and the film The 13th Warrior. This is Michael Crichton's book, Eaters of the Dead. This was written on a bet that modern audiences would not respond to classic literature like Beowulf. It's kind of written like a travelogue, and it's written well. It does feel a little familiar because so much of that other stuff is sort of wrapped up in the zeitgeist. But there you have it. It's available on Kindle. It's available in print. You can probably find it at a used bookstore. It's been around a while. Again, 1976. But it's great. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, even though, again, I kind of knew what was coming because having seen and read all this other stuff. But there you have it. After that, from 2020, I have a book by Felix Hahlbrock Ponce. It's called All the Colors of Murder. I'm going to stop this for a second. Apologies, I had to shoo my dog away. All the Colors of Murder. So back in the day, before everything was online, there were books that would, Leonard Maltin did a bunch of books that would review films. The Phantom of the Movies did a bunch. They were all over the place because no one had the resources that we do now of just calling something up online. So this is like that, except that it kind of dives deep into the giallo subgenre. If you're interested in giallo and you don't know, like, where do I begin, other than Dario Argento, which is a poor place to start, in my opinion. It's a great way to get titles. It's a great way to weed through all the mess, and you can kind of tell whether or not it might be of interest. It reminded me a lot of Federico Cadeo's documentary, also available on Tubi, called All the Colors of Giallo. It's they kind of go through things and say, here's this film, this is what it's about, here's some scenes, decide for yourself. I enjoyed this. I got it on Kindle for kind of a song. I love the giallo subgenre. I think that someone would be really smart to refurbish it and make it for a modern Western audience. And because I think that you see shades of it places. One that comes to mind is Brian De Palma's Dress to Kill. But it's just got a good vibe, and it can be worthwhile. So check that out, All the Colors of Murder. Up next, Lucius Shephard's Life During Wartime. Similar to Bruce McAllister's Dream Baby, this takes place in a war situation. It has to do with psychics. It has to do with weird goings on. It's told episodic. It's kind of an anti-war science fiction meets post-Vietnam disappointment. The Hollywood sell on this is going to be, quote, a really stoned Dog Soldiers era Robert Stone rewriting Angela Carter's infernal desire machines of Dr. Hoffman as a cyberpunk novel, if that makes sense. Has to do with Psy-Corps, and I enjoyed it. It opens like gangbusters, and then as the book goes along, it meanders a little bit. You know, we could, as a friend of mine used to say, could have used another rewrite. But what's here is very, very good, and it's not like many books you'll pick up. I do think Dream Baby is better, but still, Life During Wartime. Let's see. After that, we're going back. I always have a thing about, to know where we're going, we have to know where we've been. So this is an old book from 1904. It's M.R. James's "O Whistler and I'll Come to You, My Lad." A skeptical professor finds a whistle in a Templar ruin. He blows it and summons a terrifying sheet-wrapped entity. This is a supremely gothic story. It's very kind of unnerving. It's a classic English ghost story. I enjoyed it, even though it does take a minute to gather its speed. And it's told in a way that is decidedly of its time, 1904. You can find it on YouTube for not YouTube, on Kindle for like 99 cents or something like that. It's worth a read, especially if you want to get your handle on ghost stories. Another pet peeve of mine. A lot of people with ghost stories, they think it's like a light show. But in a classic ghost story, just something slightly moving on the table is a big deal. The pace is snail slow, and it's there for a reason. It's immersion into the environment, it's immersion into the characters, and then subtly things start to change. Shirley Jackson's Haunting of Hill House, which I've covered in the past, is a great example of that. There's not a lot of things flying through the air, and there's not a lot of spooky stuff going on. It's very subtle. It's easy to get wrong. I've struggled with it in the past myself in writing some short stories that are ghost-based. But you know, when you go back and you see it done right, it seems so easy, but it's really can be very, very difficult. And then finally, I'm still slugging away at Jack Ketchum's Peaceable Kingdom. I'm enjoying it. I continue to enjoy it. Dallas Mayer, aka Jack Ketchum, was a great writer, and he tends to have the beats that he likes, and those become more and more prevalent the more and more that you read of his work. Peaceable Kingdom so far has been great. I may take a diversion after this. I have two more that I picked up on my Kindle that I'll get to. But man, I'm eyeing this Carl Edward Wagner short story collection that just looks delicious. Let's see, moving on to records. First up, from 2025, Hiromi and Sonic Wonder doing an album called Out There. Hiromi Yuhara. She's this dynamite piano player that's just tearing up social media and concert stages, and just fantastic. It's very frenetic jazz, still accessible, but there's a lot of notes going on. It's a test. I said to my wife, this is a testament to technique, because everyone's wailing, and it's a challenging but wildly interesting listen. It's available on Spotify, and I thoroughly enjoyed the record, and I think you will too. It reminded me of things like the Nankai Trio, previously covered on the show, the work of Chick Corea, and then there's a Japanese trio called H-Z Trio, Z-E-T-T-R-I-O. Good stuff. Again, Hiromi and Sonic Wonder are doing out there. Up next, here's a record from 1962. For some reason, I think I covered this early on, but you know, what the heck? The fact that I'm coming back around to it and maybe even reviewing it twice tells you how much I love this record. It's Ike Quebec's Bossa Nova Soul Samba. This is late night jazz bop, if you're familiar. Very cool, very kind of, it's samba, so it's very kind of, you know, hip. It reminded me of this things like Paul Desmond, Charlie Bird, Charlie Rose, Jerry Mulligan's Nightlights, Coleman Hawkins, Lester Young, Ben Webster. You getting the vibe? It's great stuff. Ike Quebec is easily one of my favorite sax players, and I will always recommend. I can't even tell you how many times I played this record. So yeah, Bossa Nova Soul Samba, Ike Quebec, 1962. After that, so there was a producer out there named Greg Kurstin. He's a winner of 9 Grammys. His client list is crazy. He did a record called Action Figure Party from 2001. This is super groovy. It's super groove oriented. It's great to put on in the backyard while you're doing some yard work. It's great, you know, to it's a little it can be a little poppy, but thoroughly enjoyable. I found out that he co-wrote, I should say. There was a B-side to Dweezil Zappa's first single, My Mother is a Space Cadet, called Crunchy Water, and Greg Kurstin co-wrote that. That's a great single, too, if you can get your hands on it. Dweezil's is like 12 or 13 on it, and it's great. It's wonderful. But Action Figure Party, it's immediately accessible. It's very, very fun. It's witty. And it reminded me of things like Rubble Bucket, Tune Yards, the band US3, and it reminded me of a project that, of course, Greg Kurstin had a hand in. That's Chibomata. Action Figure Party, Greg Kurstin, 2001. Highly recommended. I keep coming back to this. 2 more to go. 1979. The great guitarist Lee Ritenour. Not only did he have a great career on his own, but he was like a go-to session guy. 1979, did a record called Feel the Night, and this is, for me anyway, it's a seminal jazz fusion record. Big sounding band, great performances. Lee Ritenour shreds. The people that are on this record are mind-blowing. Michael Boddicker, Dave Foster, Don Grusin, Joe Sample from the Crusaders, Dave Grusin, the producer, Ian Underwood from Frank Zappa's band, Steve Lukather from Toto, Abraham Laboriel, who's been on, everything, Steve Gadd, who has literally been on everything, Ernie Watts, Larry Williams, Chuck Finley, Jerry Hay, Patty Austin. It just goes on and on and on. Reminding me of things like the Crusaders record Street Life. It reminded me of Brand X a lot. And it reminded me of Larry Carlton's first 2 records. This is a great record. I'm not even going to fool around. I would be highly suspicious of anyone that heard this record and didn't at least accept that it's a great record. Yeah, good stuff all the way around. A lot of Ritenour's early stuff is like that. It wasn't until the album Rit that he had that hit in the 80s, Is It You, that while wildly successful, kind of took him in a different direction for a minute or two. He's back, but his early stuff, Captain Fingers is another record that's really great. Just a burner. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about in 1980, Joni Mitchell released a live record called Shadows and Light. It was recorded at the Santa Barbara Bowl in '79. The band on this, again, is one of those bands that you just cannot believe they were all gathered in the same room. Pat Metheny, Jaco Pastorius, Don Elias, Lyle Mays, Michael Brecker, The Persuasions appear on this. This is a fantastic album. If you are not into Joni Mitchell, this is a good entry point. In the description, I put not only a link to a YouTube playlist of the record, but I've also linked a performance video of the entire album that was filmed while they were recording it. This is great. I mean, you know, Joni Mitchell is someone who is a inspiration for a lot of musicians. Just because she's so diverse and does what she does so well. So yeah, Shadows and Light. I shouldn't even have to recommend this, but a lot of people younger people haven't heard it, or they're afraid to crack the egg on Joni Mitchell's discography. Hey, this thing came out. Yeah, check it out. Again, go to the link. You can judge for yourself. That is gonna about do it for a Friday. One little reminder, my new book, Monolith Records, is out and available. You can pick it up. Look at that. That's a weighty tome, my friend. You can pick it up. It's roughly the synopsis, 1985. Guy goes to work for a record store, big record store like Tower. And as he becomes indoctrinated in the culture of the record store, it changes him. It's very much autobiographical. I met my wife, and that's kind of detailed here. So there's that. That's going to do it for the week. I will be back on Monday. I've got a whole slew of stuff planned. Please check out the video I did released on last Saturday. It's a tour of my local town. There's some bookstores and a comic store and a record store. Great places run by great people. So until that, I'll see you on Monday, and have a good week.